Welcome to Box Recaps.
In today's video, we'll be going through the 2014 fantasy sci-fi film The Invisible Boy. It's time to recall. Let's get started. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. The movie starts with a scene in a mental institution. In that place, a man can be seen sketching a map on the wall, and some people are keeping surveillance on him. As soon as that man finishes drawing the map, he collapses on the ground and dies. Then we see the evil person who was making that poor man sketch the map. We are then taken to the very place of which the map is made of. There we see our main character Michael, who is a 13-year-old schoolboy. Michael is a very unpopular kid in the school, and he has a huge crush on his classmate Stella. In fact, you could say that he is a bit obsessed with her. He secretly records videos of her in the class, but he has no guts to talk to her in person. Tonight there's going to be a costume party, and Michael is also excited about it as he wants to impress Stella. That day at school, a police officer comes to their class. She tells them that two of their classmates have been missing for days and there are no clues as to where they are. She informs them that if they know anything about the missing students, they need to inform the police. The police officer then goes to Michael and hands him his lunch. Surprisingly, she is Michael's mother, and the classmates make fun of Michael for being a mother's boy. Michael's nose starts bleeding, so he goes to the bathroom to clean it, but his classmates follow him there and start bullying him. He is so weak that he cannot defend himself. They take his money, which he had saved to buy a Spider-Man costume for the party. They beat him up and tease him for not having a father as well. Life, in short, is hell for Michael at school. After getting embarrassed at school, Michael returns to his house. He has a little sister who also knows that he has no friends. After getting his money stolen, Michael isn't sure if he can go to the party or not. Michael checks his box and finds a few dollar bills. He takes that money to buy a costume. Michael wants something related to superheroes, but all he sees are spooky costumes. A kid calls out to Michael and asks what he wants. Michael shows him the money he has, and the kid brings out a very bad-looking superhero costume. The kid tries to sell it by saying that it belongs to a very popular superhero, and he also reveals a secret, that the costume gives powerful superpowers, which Michael will get to know later. Michael doesn't have enough money to buy a Spider-Man costume, so he buys that costume and brings it home with him. But Michael doesn't look a bit happy with his appearance. His mother is home and she asks what's wrong. Michael says that he doesn't want to go to the party as he's afraid everyone will make fun of his superhero look. Michael's mother compliments him that he looks really different, and that's not a bad thing. After talking to him for a while, she convinces Michael to go to the party and impress Stella. He heads to the party, and surprisingly, Stella engages in conversation with him. Michael gets happy and he thinks that after this, he might be able to become good friends with her. But the bullies from school play the video clips that Michael had secretly recorded of Stella. Seeing those videos, Stella is furious and she asks who clicked them. The bullies point to Michael and say that they got the videos from Michael's phone. Stella asks Michael if this is true. He gets nervous and he cannot answer her. He tries to run away from the party, but everyone in the party blocks his way. In an effort to hide away from the embarrassment, Michael goes to the bathroom and locks himself in. The kids outside yell at him to come outside. Michael doesn't want to go out, and he is also angry at himself for being careless with his phone. He wants to hide away from everyone and wishes that he was invisible. Suddenly, the lights go out, and when it comes back, Michael is nowhere to be seen. The next morning, Michael wakes up in his bed. He takes his costume off and he goes to the bathroom to brush his teeth. Michael then realizes that he truly had become invisible. He cannot believe his eyes. He checks himself in the mirror but fails to see his reflection. His mother comes to his room, but she also fails to see him. He quickly writes a note and throws it in place for his mother to see. The note reads that he is left early to school. Finding the note, his mother leaves his room. Discovering his new power, Michael isn't sure what to do next. He covers his entire body and heads to school. He sees Stella, but he's too embarrassed to see her in class. He's ready to leave the school, but he changes his mind after seeing his bully. With his power, Michael realizes that he can do anything. He takes off all of his clothes and starts walking around naked. Meanwhile, a man has watched him undress to invisibility. He enters his classroom and no one can see him. He steps forward to his bully's seat and takes the gun out of his bag. He shoots the gun at the teacher and makes it look like it was his bully who did that. He secretly finds his exam paper and starts to fill in all the answers. He goes up to his other bully and messes with him during his tournament match. With the help of his newfound powers, Michael was taking perfect revenge on his bullies. Then Michael makes his way to the girls' changing room and watches them undress. As he watches the girls, Stella throws a towel which lands on top of him, and everyone notices that there is someone watching them. Michael gets nervous and he loses his power at the same time. Stella takes the towel off him, and everyone starts to run after finding out there was a naked guy watching them. After finding this out, Michael's mother is really disappointed at him, and he has no answer to justify what he was doing. Michael's mother receives a call from her office. The missing children had sent a video message in which they say they are running away from their parents. They want to live an independent life, and they end the message by saying not to look for them. Next day at school, a psychiatrist arrives at Michael's class. He was there to help the children understand the importance of parents and not make any mistakes in life. He was brought there so that no more children would run away from their house. Michael suddenly notices that his hands are going invisible. He quickly hides his hand, and when the psychiatrist comes closer to him, he leaves the classroom in a hurry. Michael goes to his house, and his sister sees him in his invisible form. She's about to scream, but Michael stops her and asks her to keep it a secret. He tells her everything about the superhero costume. His sister thinks that he has now become a superhero. Later, Michael hears his mother talking on the phone. He goes to his mother while still being invisible. He starts to eavesdrop on his mother. Not knowing that her son is in front of her, Michael's mother continues her conversation, and Michael gets to know that he isn't her biological son. Michael was adopted by her and has loved him like her own son ever since. But Michael had no clue about this, so he gets sad and leaves from there. Being sad, Michael is lost in his thoughts while swinging. Stella sees that a swing is moving on its own. Struck by curiosity, Stella goes near him and sits on the other swing. The two of them start to chat, but she has no idea that the invisible person is Michael, her classmate. Stella seems happy to talk to him and asks to meet him again before leaving for home. Michael is happy that he got to talk with Stella. Michael thinks he should tell Stella about his secret. If he tells her that he is the invisible boy, the two of them could be good friends, and he can redeem his character in front of her. He goes to Stella to tell her everything, but before he could do that, he sees that Stella is getting kidnapped. He tries to stop the kidnapper, but he is just too weak. Stella is taken to a lab, and we see that the doctors there are doing tests on her. We see people are looking for a child who can be invisible. They didn't know who it was, so they kidnapped Stella to see if she was the one who has the power of invisibility. But after all the tests, they find out that Stella is not the one they are looking for. They throw her in a chamber where there are two other children from her class who had gone missing previously. Failing to save Stella, Michael vows to save her with his power. He plans to charge his invisible power by wearing the costume, but he sees that his costume was washed by his mother, so he thinks the power of the costume has gone away. Michael is furious at his mother. He goes up to her and starts to talk to her angrily. He even tells her that she is not his mother, which makes her really sad. Michael goes out on his bike, confused about what he's going to do to save Stella. He then meets the person who had seen him when he first became invisible. That person tells Michael that he too has powers similar to him. He says that the power isn't in the costume, but is inside Michael himself. And Michael had these powers in him because he is his father. He tells Michael his story. Many years back, he was in Russia where a nuclear plant had exploded. Due to the explosion, many people who came in contact with the radiation began to show supernatural abilities. The army then created a special team with those people. And the leader of that army was a very cruel person. He ran tests on those people for years to use them in the war. Michael's father was one of those people, and he had the power of reading people's minds. It was there where he met Michael's real mother. They fell in love with each other and soon gave birth to Michael. But the army had plans to take Michael away from them and do tests on him as well. So they took Michael and ran away from there. They wanted to live like a normal family, but the army didn't let them. They chased them in deep forests and had no intention of letting them get away. They realized that they all cannot run away from the army. So Michael's father took Michael with him, and his mother stayed behind to stop the army, and she was killed in that fight. Knowing that the army will come after him as well, Michael's father decides to leave Michael to his adopted mother. Since he has the power to read people's minds, he tells Michael that his adopted mother is a really good person. He then gives Michael a suit, which will allow him to use his power with more control. Michael's mother finally manages to find him and tells him to never run away from home like that. At home, Michael opens the suit given to him by his father. He's ready to wear it and test it out, but he gets a visit from the psychiatrist. The psychiatrist was there to understand why Michael was behaving strangely for a few days. But the questions he asks suggest that he knows about Michael's secret. He wants Michael to admit that he has supernatural powers. Feeling weird by him, Michael storms out of his house, but all the doors are locked. Michael locks himself in a room and the psychiatrist is trying to force his way in, but Michael quickly wears his suit and gets invisible. The psychiatrist fails to see him, and Michael makes his escape. Meanwhile, Stella and her friends start to talk about why they had been kidnapped by those people. They all have their own assumptions about it, and Stella says they cannot stay still and do nothing. She makes a plan to escape out of the room. With the help of her friends, she manages to climb to the chamber and get out of it. She sees that they were in a ship, and she also spots an old man lying on a wheelchair. She climbs to the top of the ship and turns the huge light on to send a signal for help. Michael sees that signal and goes to save her. At the same time, Stella is caught again. Michael reaches the ship and manages to beat a few of the bad guys. He opens the door to the chamber where Stella was kept captive. He saves his friends and also reveals his identity. Stella gets happy and asks him to follow her. She says that she wants to save more people from the ship. Being stupidly in love with Stella, Michael follows her and even hands her a gun for safety, but Stella leads him to the bad guys. Michael is confused to know why Stella did this, but he sees that the old man in the wheelchair was controlling everyone in the room. That person had the ability to control any person when he touched them. That person takes everyone in a submarine and wants to do experiments on Michael to possibly steal his powers. Meanwhile, Michael's mother reaches the ship and finds the psychiatrist. She asks him about where her son is, but since he was controlled by the old man, he tells her that he knows nothing. Fearing for the life of Stella, Michael gets angry, and he finds out that he has another power. He has the power of controlling objects. With his newfound power, Michael takes everyone out and manages to lock himself in a chamber with Stella. He ejects that chamber out of the submarine and finally manages to save Stella from the bad guys. Michael's mother is also there. Being the stupid kid he is, Michael shows off his powers in front of everyone. His friends seem impressed and his mother is in shock. Stella seems to have fallen for him. Michael's mother is concerned for him after knowing his superpowers, but then he sees his father and follows him. After meeting his father, he gets told that he shouldn't show off his powers like that. Once people find out about his powers, more and more people will be after him and his life. Michael, however, wants the glory of being a superhero. He tells his father that he doesn't care if people know about his powers. His father tries to make him understand that living a life like that can be dangerous for him and people around him, so Michael agrees to keep his ability a secret. Michael's father, with his power, erases the memory of everyone who saw Michael invisible. Fast forward, no one has any idea how the missing kids were saved and who took them. They remember absolutely nothing from that incident. They assume that Michael's mother probably saved everyone and somehow lost her memory. Michael's mother is praised for her work. Back to school, life is back to normal for Michael. His bullies come up to him and start to scare him. But Michael has grown a lot. He is now a confident kid who looks at his bullies in their eyes and tells them not to bother him anymore. He meets up with Stella, who has forgotten about Michael's ability. The two of them talk, and Stella has forgiven him for his previous antics. The two become good friends, and the movie ends. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and click the bell icon to get new movie recaps.